You want to create, to write, and decide without the added pressure to make it perfect, right? You want to finish something without needing to revisit it 5 more times just to make sure it's just right. And you want to stop tweaking, reviewing, refining, and just know that it's enough. But instead, you're double checking the thing that no one asked you to fix, or you're staying up late, not because you have to, but because something might still be off. And you tell yourself you're just being professional, doing the right thing, just being thorough. And it's not just tiring, it's burning you out in ways even you can't always name. So today I want to show you what's really happening underneath that pressure to be perfect and how to reset the loop that's draining your energy in the name of doing it right. But before we start, for those of you new to my world, hello, I'm 𝗤𝘁'𝘁, self-care strategist, founder of Her Extraordinary Life by Design, and creator of the Yes Reset Method, my 3-step system that I use to help high-achieving women like you set up a life you don't need a vacation from so that you can grow a business you love with less guilt and more freedom. Now, if you've been carrying the weight of doing it all so that it's perfect, polishing your work, refining your output, and overperforming even when no one's asking you to, and what you really want is to just finish with confidence, to move through your day without questioning every move, to trust yourself enough to let something be done without earning your right to feel good about it, then stay with me because I'm going to walk you through a shift that will help you interrupt that pressure to perform so that you can stop needing every detail to be perfect and really start trusting that what you've done is already enough. So let's break it down. You're doing all the right things, you're checking off all the boxes, and you're showing up and delivering, and on the outside, everything looks fine, impressive even. But inside, it's loud, meaning constant thoughts, constant reviews, constant rehearsals, and you're caught in a loop because your brain won't stop scanning for what still isn't right. And that's why I want to talk to you about the real reason you can't shut off your brain, where you find yourself in that loop of constant pressure to get everything just right, perfectly right. You know, most high achieving women are not perfecting things because someone told them they had to. And if that's you, you probably are finding yourself perfecting things because somewhere along the way, your output became proof. Proof that you're prepared, proof that you're thoughtful, proof that you deserve to be trusted. So you keep going. You're refining, reviewing, adjusting, not because it's required of you, but because it feels safer than the risk of being misunderstood or judged. And this is what makes the loop so hard to spot because it doesn't look like fear. It looks like excellence. It looks like professionalism. It looks like someone who really cares about what they do. But what's actually happening is this. You're tying your worth to the outcome, your safety to the polish, and your emotional relief to whether or not it lands perfectly. Your work is right. It looks good. Everyone is pleased with the outcome. Everyone else but you. This is the loop, and it doesn't start with pressure from the outside. It starts with an internal rule. If I get it right, I can finally exhale. If it's perfect, I'll feel safe. And that's why you keep tweaking the slide deck that no one asked for, or why you rewrite the caption for the 4th time, or why you even delay your launch, even though everything's ready. And it's not because you're unclear. It's because good enough doesn't feel safe enough. And the longer you stay in that loop, the more disconnected you become from yourself, from your truth. Because it's not just the work that you're reviewing, is it? It's you that you're questioning. Did I do enough? Did I cover every angle? Did I miss something that someone might notice or worse, judge? This isn't about standards anymore. It's about survival. It's about a nervous system that only relaxes when the output looks airtight. But clarity, it doesn't come from perfection. It comes from trust, self-trust. And when trust isn't there, perfection becomes the stand-in, the shield, the strategy. Until one day, you're not even sure if you're refining the work or you're repairing your sense of worth through it. And here's the part no one's talking about. When perfection becomes your safety net, you stop trusting yourself to move without it. So that's why I believe that you don't have a focus problem. It's not about clarity. It's not about focus. I really feel that what's happening with you is if this is you, where you're finding yourself that everything has to be perfect, that all the I's need to be dotted and all the T's need to be crossed, and you have to keep doing rewrites and reviews and thinking about it overnight for days on end and procrastinating on launching or pressing send on that email. I don't believe that it has anything to do with clarity or focus or determination or motivation. I believe what you have is a self-trust gap. And let me tell you why I believe that. You're using all the tools. Let's say you bought every planner from Target to Notion to Asana, hoping that if you're organized, you'll finally feel certain that you didn't miss anything. And maybe then you'll feel safe enough to call it done. You've done the productivity courses, listened to self-help podcasts, or even time blocking systems, hoping to finally feel in control. But no system is working when perfection is still setting the standard. And you've probably worked with a business coach who gave you strategy, but maybe not inner alignment. So even with the plan in place, you keep tweaking and second guessing because perfection is still the unspoken requirement before you allow yourself to begin or before you allow yourself to really say this is done. And you've probably read all the self-help books like Atomic Habits, the 5 a.m. Club, or the 12-Week Year, which are all great books, by the way. But what you've learned isn't working because you're still carrying the weight of work that never feels finished. So you stay stuck in that loop, still refining the presentation, still questioning whether you covered enough, whether you missed something someone might call out, whether it could have been done better. And you're still not able to finish the thing that's almost there. And if you're honest, it's starting to feel like maybe a focus issue or motivation issue. Like maybe if you just hired someone to help you organize everything, you'd finally be able to move faster and get things done, right? Because this person can help you get all of those things that can help motivate you by getting you organized, to help get you focused because you're organized. But really, you're just layering more structure on top of perfectionism, and you're calling it being productive. What's actually happening is it's not about focus. It's not about determination or motivation. It's not about being productive. It's about fear. Because when you don't trust yourself, you don't trust your first draft. You don't trust that one take was enough. You don't trust the version of your work that isn't double checked, triple checked, over prepared, and buttoned up from every angle. So instead of finishing, you chase perfect. Instead of handing it off, you do one more round. Instead of moving on, you hover because finishing feels like exposure. Exposure to being judged, exposure to feeling like you missed something or to the shame of not catching a possible mistake before someone else catches it. And that's what no one sees from the outside. They see the output, they see the polish, but they don't see the second guessing that got you there. They don't see that underneath your high performance is a quiet panic about getting it wrong. So no, it's not a focus problem. It's not a determination or clarity problem. It's not a motivation problem. It's a self-trust gap. And here's why that matters. Because without self-trust, you will keep using performance to try to feel safe. You'll keep over-delivering just to feel like you've done enough. You'll keep tweaking things no one asked you to fix because you don't feel grounded unless everything is airtight. And that's where emotional burnout hides, not in the chaos, but in the pursuit of control, in the belief that if you just perfect one more thing, you'll finally feel calm, you'll finally feel certain, you'll finally feel like you're allowed to pause, and you'll finally feel like you've done enough. But what you're really looking for isn't more control. What you're looking for is a sense of internal permission, a way to move forward without second guessing yourself. And that's where self-trust comes in, not as a mindset, but as a new internal standard, one that doesn't demand proof in the form of output. So what you've been craving isn't clarity or confidence. It's your ability to believe that you can trust that what you've done is good enough, even if it's not perfect. Listen, when you've been living in that loop for so long where your sense of worth is tied to what you produce and how perfectly you do it, it makes sense that slowing down, letting go, or saying this is done feels impossible, right? Because you've built your emotional safety around getting it right, which means the minute something feels unfinished, you don't just feel behind, you feel unsafe. But what if the way out isn't pushing harder to get it right? What if it's building a new system for how you trust yourself? Which brings me to my final point, which is how to break the perfection loop that's keeping you productive, but emotionally fried. So let's name what this really is, okay? It's not that you're unmotivated, like I said, or that you don't have clarity or that you're unfocused. Again, it's not that you don't know what to do. It's that your nervous system has been trained to believe that doing it right is the only way to feel safe. So that's why you keep working on things so that they're perfect. The onboarding email sequence, the launch slides, the about page you've rewritten 5 times but still haven't published. You keep doing to prove that you're competent, to prove that you're credible, and to prove that you're good enough and that you can trust yourself. You can trust that what your output is good enough. But when you're constantly producing and perfecting, whether that's content, offers, client wins, metrics, polished visuals, well thought out plans, so as to appear that you have it all handled, even when you're quietly questioning every move behind the scenes, on the outside, everything will look composed, successful, and under control. But on the inside, where it's hidden, you'll feel depleted because of the pressure of trying to be perfect, keeping you in always on mode. And that's the state that has you emotionally fried, because every time you finally finish something, you don't feel relief, you feel exposed. So you keep going, not out of inspiration, but out of survival. So let me give you an example of what this could look like in real life. Let's say you just finished mapping out your new offer, which is a high-level refinement of your current offer. It's smart, it's valuable, it's aligned with your mission, with your values, and it's going to provide amazing results for your clients because you've listened to their feedback and you've taken it to a new level. You've already done a few rounds of edits, your strategy is solid, and your copy's clean. But instead of scheduling it to go live, you tell yourself you just need to sleep on it one more night. You add another call to action variation. You tweak a headline. You wonder if you should re-record the welcome video just in case your energy wasn't strong enough. You're not refining because it's unclear. You're refining because clarity doesn't feel like safety anymore, right? Perfection does. That's the perfection loop. And that's where out-based burnout hides in the version of success that looks polished but feels like pressure. So it's like perfection-based burnout, meaning chasing perfection and it's burning you out. So what do you actually need to get out of that loop? Well, I can tell you it's not another pep talk. It's not another productivity hack, and it's definitely not another template or planner. What you need is a new internal system, one that replaces the pressure to prove with permission to move from trust instead of fear of not being enough. And that's where my self-acceptance and trust framework comes into play. And it includes 3 key pieces, which are internal validation, which is your ability to trust that the work you've done is enough before someone else confirms it, helping you to break the cycle of waiting for external approval to feel complete so you can finish what you started without needing to second guess every detail. Now that's built through emotional honesty, which is your ability to recognize when you're refining because something genuinely needs more clarity, a little bit more focus on it, just to make sure that not necessarily that it's perfect, but that it's landing the way you're intending for it to land, that the message is there, versus when you're refining because you're afraid of how it might be received or that it's not good enough or that you're not good enough. And they feel like it's garbage, which is something actually I recently read that on Reddit based on someone's experience of constantly editing their work, and they just felt like every round of their writing was garbage and they were burning out because of it. Now, having that emotional honesty with yourself works because it's going to help you to stop the loop of overcorrecting out of fear and instead help you move forward from alignment instead of anxiety. And then finally, it's built through self-integrity, which is your follow through between what you say, what you do, and what you actually want. It's how you build the internal safety, not through perfection, but by staying true to yourself, to your vision, to what you're building. Because the more your actions match your truth, the less you have to second guess what you've done, right? Each one of these is about being anchored to your own enoughness, to the quiet knowing that what you've done reflects your truth, not what you think you have to prove, so that you can move through your day without performing proof that you're enough. Because the truth is, you don't need to push to feel worthy. You don't need to be perfect to feel safe. You don't need to constantly be in output mode in the doing to be seen as capable. And you don't need to constantly be over delivering, over preparing, or over proving in order to trust the quality of your work and the value it already holds. Having a framework like this doesn't just help you have the confidence to trust yourself more easily. It gives you the tools to stop shrinking, editing, and overperforming. The self-acceptance and trust framework is one of the core tools I teach my clients when we work together, and it's supported by the Yes Reset method. And here's how it all connects and why it connects. When you learn how to stop chasing perfection in every deliverable, when you can finish something without that quiet urge to tweak it one more time, and when you can trust that what you've done is enough without the emotional aftermath of second guessing, that's when you finally feel free. Not because everything's flawless, but because you stopped making perfection the requirement for peace. Maybe it's time for a change, right? To move from perfection to done is better than perfect, and done is good enough. Because if you ever walked away from a finished project still questioning whether it was good enough, and maybe you're tired of looking polished on the outside all the time while quietly unraveling on the inside, then I want to offer you this invitation to reset the loop, because the power to stop perfecting just to feel safe starts with trusting that what you've done is already enough. As high performing women, we often think we need tighter workflows, right? Better systems, another productivity tool to finally feel in control of our days. And we think if we just plan better, manage our time more efficiently, or fine tune our work a little more, then maybe we'll feel like it's good enough, like we're good enough. And in order to be seen as that most capable, credible, and composed woman in the room, we keep polishing, adjusting, and perfecting, even when we're quietly unraveling on the inside. But here's what I want you to understand. If you want to feel clear, calm, and confident in what you're doing without draining yourself just to prove it's right, that you're right, you don't need more discipline. What you need is a better system for how you commit your time, your energy, and your effort so that you can stop trying to perfect everything just to feel like it's enough, just to feel safe, to trust yourself. And that's where the Yes Reset method comes in too. Let me tell you how it works and how it ties into self-trust, why I believe that. So the 3-question yes filter is a fast internal checkpoint that you go through before saying yes to something, to get grounded in what truly matters. It's about making a decision. The filter helps you by having you ask yourself questions like, is this in alignment with my current focus? Would I be saying yes out of alignment, obligation, guilt, or fear? And what am I trading for this yes? Because again, every time you say yes to something, you're closing the door to something else. But it's not just about what you say yes to. It's also how you say yes that's equally important, because when your yes, meaning this is important to do a final edit on this project, or it's a no, meaning this doesn't need to be done right now, or it doesn't need tweaking at all. This helps you ground yourself into trusting yourself, which means it allows you to stop tweaking the email 5 times, or fixing the presentation graphics again, or holding back the deliverable just to feel like it's finally good enough. So that's why using the 3-question yes filter works, because it allows you to get clear on what's aligned and what's emotional noise so that you can stop defaulting to pressure-based decisions to keep tweaking or to keep pushing through and doing more, which again, it drains your time and your energy. And then of course, the next step is to categorize your decision through a decision lens filter, I guess you could say, that helps you to instantly sort your options into the yes, no, or not right now categories, which works because it keeps you from treating every task like it's urgent or final or high stakes, so that if something really does need refinement, you can say yes, put it into the yes category because it matters for right now. And you'll learn to discern that if it's about chasing unattainable perfection, that you can finally actually say no and be confident that done is good enough. And if it's valuable, but not essential in this moment to do, like to really make those changes, that you can say, not right now, and you can move on without guilt. Meaning, whatever you're working on, it's not being launched right now. I can actually be confident that I can make that change, but right now my focus is this, it's currently this, and I need to make sure that I don't split my focus in too many places, because then I'm diluting my output and burning myself out trying to keep up. And then finally, you learn to protect your yes energy, which is so important. It's your emotional fuel, your energetic bandwidth for the things that matter to you, because your energy is what's going to help you to use your time more efficiently, right? Whatever you have on your calendar, if you don't have the energy to support it, you're not going to be able to show up as the best that you can in those moments. So protecting your yes energy is a boundary that's important to help you catch hesitation, pressure, or self-doubt before it hijacks your clarity. And it works because it helps you to spot those subtle signs of misalignment before your nervous system goes into overdrive, keeping you from chasing perfection under the illusion of responsibility. So this is why my clients work with me, because we don't just talk about alignment, we actually build it together. And we create those decision filters, the energy boundaries, the high performance systems that are designed to help you lead with clarity and peace of mind. So that, again, you walk away not just with insight, but with a framework that will help you to make your yeses more intentional. And you learn to trust your yeses with more confidence, learning to stop tying your worth to polished output, and learning to stop holding back your work while chasing some invisible version of perfect that doesn't exist. So having a framework like this can help you move with clarity, finish with confidence, and release your work without apology so that you finally feel free to stop proving and start trusting. When you can stop tweaking your work just to feel in control, to feel safe, and when you can finish something and trust that it's enough without rereading it 5 more times, that's when you break the loop. That's when your output becomes a reflection of trust, not a test of your worth. So if you're realizing how often you over-deliver, or over-perfect, or over-function just to feel like you've done enough and you're ready to stop tying your worth to how much you produce, comment below or message me directly. You'll find my email in the About section here on my channel. And let's talk about what's quietly driving the pressure behind your output. What's quietly driving the pressure behind your need for everything to be perfect, like this pressure-based perfection that you are trying to achieve, and what it instead could look like for you to finally finish things without overthinking them, and to trust that what you've already created is enough, and to finally feel calm enough to call it done and kick perfection to the curb. Now, before we wrap up today, remember, it doesn't always look like burnout. Sometimes it looks like staying up late to rework something no one asked you to fix. It can look like polishing, tweaking, and refining until you're emotionally numb. And even though from the outside looking in, you can look organized, composed, like you're on top of your game, internally, you're fried from always having your fix it, tweak it, perfect it mindset on, and feeling like everything you do still isn't enough, and telling yourself it's just being thorough, being responsible. But deep down, you're not moving from clarity. You're moving from fear of getting it wrong, or that the minute you stop perfecting, you'll be exposed that you don't know what you're doing. And that kind of pressure, again, is what burns you out. Not the task list that you have, not the schedule, but the constant emotional labor of trying to prove that you're worthy enough through your work. So again, the longer you stay in this loop of overfunctioning, the more disconnected you're going to start to feel from the part of you that already knows that it's good enough, that you're good enough. So if this message landed, if you felt yourself nodding, and if you haven't already, make sure that you hit subscribe, hit the bell so that you don't miss what's coming next. And if you know someone who looks like they have it all together, but you know deep down inside they're constantly chasing the next polished version of enough, send this to them, because they might not call it burnout, but they feel the weight of it every day, and it's time to let that go. Thanks for watching. Take good care of you this week, and I'll see you next time.